Good morning and welcome to another Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments in the live feed. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. During this session, we will be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I'll reveal the results at the end. Well, I haven't done one of these for a little while. So my name is Ketan Makwana, and I am the CEO, Chief Disruptor, and Chairman of Enterprise Lab, and also newly VC 77 Ventures. Today, I'm going to be talking about the future of finance in terms of what digital assets mean to businesses. So look, let's start with a little bit of a kind of a broad stroke around digital assets. We as businesses are familiar with digitization in our businesses. We're starting to use more and more marketing tools like email marketing and CRMs and things like this. This has been part and parcel of the transition of moving from paper-based to a digital environment and situation. Along the lines, we've also started to change the way in which we manage our finances and cash flows. Think of things like QuickBooks. It's a digital finance tool. But the world is moving more and more into that kind of digital space, and we are now coming into a world where things like blockchain technology, tokenization, cryptocurrencies are now starting to emerge. Now, you may have heard some of these types of names, labels, tags, and thought, what is this? How does it work? You may have also heard about Bitcoin and things like this and thought to yourself, right, how do I get into this game? You know, everyone else seems to be winning from it and becoming overnight millionaires. There's stories of a chap who put a bet, an $8,000 bet on Shibu a year ago, and actually in a couple of weeks ago turned out to become a billionaire. How does it all work? What does it all mean? More importantly, what does it mean in business? Well, let me take you back a little bit really quickly and give you a potted history about what blockchain technology, Bitcoin, and all these things are. So in 2008, we had the economic crash. Really, quite simply, the world's economy was falling away. And it's around this time, a white paper was initiated about decentralizing finance. The future of finance needs to be decentralized. This white paper was talking about bringing out digital assets and digital currencies, which doesn't require regulatory handles or how it would be taxed. We're not here to talk about all those things today. Primarily, this white paper was discussing the fact that the future of our economies and the way in which we trade and generate finance and assets will be decentralized. That turned out to be Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin was the emergence of this new type of economy, and people who really got onto it, the early adopters, started to mine these coins back in 2008, 2009. There's this wonderful story about a guy who spent something like 10 Bitcoins on a pizza, which in today's market is worth about $500,000, basically. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much from this. So anyway, as we started to move forward towards 2013, this new sort of payment system or coins and tokenizations started to evolve. It started to gather more momentum. And this is when Ethereum came into place, or ETH, as people may know this. This actually started to really democratize the way in which decentralized finance works. And it allowed for what we call smart contracts. Smart contracts is just a simple amount of code which is actually put onto the internet, which allows a transaction to take place. And quite simply, this really changed the way that we actually start to finance ourselves, the way we actually pay for goods, the way we actually create our earnings. And businesses started to adopt this as well. Now, I'm going to kind of fast forward to where we are today. Today, there are a whole range of different cryptocurrencies out in the market. They're still it's all under a decentralized finance banner. But the point about this is that as much as there are issues and questions surrounding how it's going to be regulated and monitored, there is always going to be a high risk towards these kind of things, because there isn't anything which protects the entity between the token owner and the person that's acquiring that token itself. So if you get one digit in your code wrong, you lose your money or your tokens. Or the whole thing of crypto wallets. If you forget your passwords, your accounts get locked in. There is also all the things that are happening around the media of scamming that's going on at the moment in the marketplace, where there is actually hype pumped into particular coins. People are putting money away, and then these coins are disappearing. These are things that you need to study. You've got to read white papers. You've got to, consult with your financial experts on whether it's worth doing these kind of things or not. It's not that this isn't the forum that we are going to be talking about, how you protect yourself from theft or scam or loss or things like this. But essentially, these digital assets are here. They're not going anywhere. And actually, you're seeing more and more different economies now starting to adopt this. I was only talking to the guys behind the scenes before we went live about recently information has come out that the Middle Eastern economies are actually looking to adopt 60% of blockchain technology into their economy by 2030. That means 60% of the transactions, the way they pay salaries, the way in which you can purchase goods and services will actually be on digital assets. So what does that mean as a consumer? What does that mean as a business? Are you ready to accept Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as a form of payment? Then on the flip side of this, you've got countries and economies like Barbados, one of the first sovereign nations to actually incorporate metaverse and digital assets into their economy. They now take and accept payments on this chain. The mayor-elect of New York wants to be paid by Bitcoin. There's a baseball team in Australia that has been paid completely on cryptocurrency. And only yesterday, I read about El Salvador are building a Bitcoin city. Okay, so this is coming. What is it? How does it work? That's what we're trying to understand right now. As a company and as a business, your standard method of transaction is to invoice someone to pay you with what we call fiat currency. That's your pound, your shilling, your pence, etc. But tomorrow, there's going to be more and more options widely available. If you think of companies like Tesla, for example, they had this whole situation where Elon Musk opened up the opportunity for you to purchase a Tesla using Bitcoin. Now, one wouldn't really buy a depreciating asset with an asset that's going to go up in value, because that's a win for Tesla and a loss for the consumer. But at the same time, there is going to be this future where you're going to be able to go into the supermarket, buy your groceries, and they'll ask you, would you like to pay in cash? Would you like to pay by debit card, credit card, or would you like to use your crypto for payment? Amazon, the future of the way in which we purchase, will also provide this opportunity. We're already starting to see merchants and vendors starting to come in and say, we'll accept crypto payments for, right now, luxury items. So things like high-end watches or cars and things like this, they're now starting to emerge that crypto payments are going to be made available. But the future of this is coming. So what does this mean for you as a business? What is the NFT market? You may have heard of what an NFT is. NFT is a non-fungible token. And what non-fungible means is it's uniquely created and it's been minted, or it's been embossed in. So it's you create something. You're the only originator of this. There is no other copies of it available. And it's going into auctions or sites like OpenSea.io. Even people like Sotheby's. I think there was a Banksy portrait that was actually acquired for about 3,500 Ethereum coins. So it gives you a kind of idea that we're starting to dabble into this whole area of digital assets. The other side to this, forget crypto, forget NFT for a second. The other side to this is governments and financial institutions for so many years have been trying to protect their economies away from what decentralized finance does. But the fact of it is, it's moved so fast into the space. You've got people that are mining for coins, people that are turning into millionaires. Businesses that are now starting to accept this and create a portfolio in their accounts of digital finance. That these companies are now starting to adopt blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies into this world. So what am I talking about here? People like JP Morgan, people like MasterCard and Visa. MasterCard and Visa now accept or have cryptocurrencies as a form of payment or credit that sits on their network. So in the Asias and the US at the moment, MasterCard, if you had a MasterCard and credit card, you could actually go off and utilize your cryptocurrency as a way of actually paying for your goods and services. Company like crypto.com allows you to actually create a wallet of different currencies and then actually convert that into a Visa card, which you can just go to the shops and actually particularly use. So what they're doing here is they're converting your crypto digital asset from its current state into fiat, and then allowing you to use it. Very similar to how the FX market would work, in the sense that if you were in Europe and you're using the euro, it converts it to a pound and takes it out of your account, basically, in those kind of shapes. But what's happening now is that these institutions are now bringing in more digital asset managers, people that understand how these things work. And the other side to this is the governments are now starting to look at it. You will hear about this. Europe are looking at the Eurocoin. Rishi Sunak introduced Bitcoin into the market. Within the next 2 years, we will see a launch of a digital asset or a digital currency called the Bitcoin. Now that will actually track its value against the pound. That's the way they're trying to do it, to stabilize it, but it will also allow them to regulate against this. But what you're seeing is more and more people are moving away from the whole paper-based transactions where we're talking about cash and going cashless. There was actually a story during the pandemic, an island off the Asia Pacific ran out of cash because there was nothing coming in. They had no cash left within their reserves. So they actually went completely tokenized. And what is a token? It's generally that. If you think of a coin, a pound coin that you have, that's a token. That's basically worth a particular value. This is what's actually happening now. Digital tokens are taking over from that point of cash. So what does it mean to business? It means that, you've got to start thinking about adopting digital currency, digital assets into your business. You've already moved away from things like direct mail or putting letters into envelopes and posting it to people, to now looking at email marketing. We've also got the rise of social media and how you're doing digital ads. Think of things like YouTube have made us all broadcasters. Well, now you're going to start thinking about tokenization. There are things like nobility token, for example. So if any of you are keen gamers, for example, any of you realize that when they do these competitions like Fortnite, instead of providing a cash award at the end for the winner of, let's say, $1 million or $2 million, they're actually looking to now convert those into tokens. Those tokens, nobility tokens, will be the actual rewards. Those tokens can go up and down in value. So you can essentially have $1 million worth of tokens given to you, and within a couple of days, that $1 million could be worth $5 million. That's the volatility of what's going on at this moment. But over time, it will start to kind of ease off control, become a little bit more controlled. It will become a little bit more regulated into those areas. As I say, and I'll put this out as a disclaimer right now, if you are involved in this type of area of trading and stuff like this, you do this at your own risk, and you must seek financial advice from an expert in finance. So, if you've got questions around taxation regulations, perhaps bring it up in the QuickBooks Facebook community group. Other accountants there can perhaps help you with this. There are guides already available from HMRC on cryptocurrencies, and it talks about taxation and stuff. Please do not do anything without seeking that type of advice. It's always important. And understand that this is like investments into stocks and things like this. Your capital is at risk, at any point when you are actually in this kind of world. And that's the same for when digital assets are coming into your business. But if you can see already right now that the trend is emerging, where you've got more and more vendors, merchants, product and service providers now coming into the market, thinking about accepting crypto. You've got the banks and the financial institutions looking at bringing digital asset managers in. You've got countries and economies looking at actually moving towards the blockchain. This is the future. And as Theo said earlier before we joined on to this live, the future is here. So, it's something that you're going to have to adopt in. Now, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. You don't need to fully understand this. It's important that you start to build people of expertise around you that can advise and consult you and guide you along the way. This isn't something that you have to do immediately, but it is something that you should be aware and conscious of. It's really, really important. So, you know what? We're at 8:45. I know there's going to be loads of questions around this, so I'm gonna jump into the questions. Again, this is all about the future of digital assets and how finance is going to be changing, or the way in which finance is going to be adopted and adapted. So whether it's fiat currencies moving into digital assets, you're now moving into a world where perhaps you're going to have to start accepting tokens. This is the thing that I want you to start thinking about. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these questions there. Wow, there's quite a few of them coming in already. Leslie on Instagram DM: do you have any advice on becoming more assertive? I noticed that my employees don't always respect my position, and I assume I can pick up a workload when I don't have the capacity. Okay, so we're talking more around sort of leadership here. I think, Leslie, one of the things that you need to think about is what is it that you are actually doing internally with when you believe you're leading your teams? Because there's a very fine line between being friends and having a boss. I think there's a part of you that's very feeling very emotionally connected to the leadership, meaning that you don't want to upset people if you have to make tough decisions. I think the word assertive seems to be very emotionally aggressive. So you don't have to be really hard on people, but at the same time, you've got to be impartial and fair. So I think what's important is understanding, first of all, understanding the landscape of all the employees that you have. When you say employees don't always respect your position and assume I can pick up workload when you don't have the capacity, I think you need to set the ground rules right from the beginning. Set the expectations right from the beginning on the situation, saying this is the load of work, these are the responsibilities you have. I'm going to hold you accountable to all these things. If you need help, come and speak to me and I'll see where I can help you move forward. But at no point do you say, right, leave it with me, I'll take over the work. Because if you fold in that particular way once or twice, it becomes habitual to people. They think it's all right. Leslie will take that on. It's not a problem. So when you're looking at around leadership and becoming more assertive, it's not about enforcing aggression at that point in time. I think it's more important for you to actually set the ground rules right from the beginning. Be quite clear, be honest, give yourself the permission to do that. It's okay to say something to people that they're not going to like. At the end of the day, it's a part of life. There are things that everyone has to do that they don't really appreciate or like. But if you don't set those ground rules and parameters, then you are you are destined to fail when it comes to that kind of assertiveness. Susanna on Twitter DM: I don't fully understand how and why blockchain creates value and why that keeps on increasing. Can you explain? Well, Susanna, very lightly, it's a whole economic play. You think of supply and demand, so there's only a finite amount of coins available in a market space. For example, with the blockchain, there's X number of million. So the more that these coins are acquired, the less of them are in circulation. And the higher the demand, the more the price of the coin goes up. So it's a simple supply and demand thing that we're actually pulling along from. The thing with this is what's driving these indicators is the ICOs, the initial coin offers, the white papers, and then the media speculation of what goes up. Actually, what we read about in our news, and what we are what you would deem as retail customers. We are the last end of the stick, basically, and we normally get that information really, really late. So by the time you're reading about someone, a surge in a coin value, it's actually happened a couple of weeks back. And what tends to happen here is it pushes the market. People start to lump their money into particular things. The more you start to put money into it, the demand for it increases. But if the supply is in short, the price of it starts to escalate very, very high. So what you're talking about here, what we're talking about here, sorry, is cryptocurrency within an exchange in an economic environment. Blockchain itself is not cryptocurrency. Blockchain is the technology in which you're actually doing these particular trades. So Bitcoin sits on a blockchain platform or technology platform. So the increased desire for decentralized finance is the fact that what it will allow people to do in the future is receive loans and things like this without having to have a credit rating. If they've got an asset which has a particular value built to it, they can hold on to the asset, and actually the lender can actually draw the value from that asset and actually lend that to you. In fact, if you think about the world of investments, we're actually moving slightly away from standard currency investment of dollars and pounds. And you've got things like stablecoin, which tracks the US dollar, which is now being put into place. So there are investments going on right now where you're putting cryptocurrency in as opposed to fiat cash. And this reduces the risk for the investor in that way as well. Kaylee, do you think small businesses will ever be able to operate on cryptocurrencies, or is that a long way off? Well, it's a good question. I don't think we are in a place right now where you can be 100% cryptocurrency, but I think my opinion is that we will see a hybrid model in the next five years or so. Enterprise Lab, one of my companies, has been accepting crypto since 2016 as a payment, and we've had 3 transactions over this period of the last 5 years where we've taken in a crypto payment. So as you can see, it's still very, very immature as a market space, but I would never see it going full pendulum swing. But as a small business in the future, the brilliant thing about you is agility. You're really agile with what you can do. So and how you can make decisions and how you can restructure the strategy and operations of your business. So for me, I think the next 3 or 4 years, you'll start to see more and more hybrid models coming up. It's just going to be interesting to see what the banks will do as well. Okay, Penny on Facebook Messenger. I'm really struggling with business burnout. Can you help? During the lockdown, my business boomed, and I'm lucky that it's continued as we return to some normality. But I'm completely exhausted, and I'm dreading the run up to Christmas. How can I keep myself going for the next 2 months until I can take a break? Okay, Penny. Well, it depends what kind of business you're in. I'm really sorry to hear that you have been struggling. And look, you are one of millions. Everyone has some level of struggle that's going on. I think the important thing here is you've got to be really pragmatic about what you're doing. One of the biggest things about being a business owner and from business leadership is being more pragmatic about what's going on around you, what you can and cannot do. I think often enough what we do is we fall into this emotional leadership influence trap where we start to think about where the future things are. So if let's say, for example, you've sent out invoices but you haven't been paid, you start worrying, when is that money going to come in, because I need to pay this and I need to go that, and what's going to happen here. You have this constant fear that you have to keep looking at the bank balance, basically. And the other side of things is start to understand what's driving your burnout. Is it that you're working harder in terms of applying yourself, doing more hours than you usually were? Or is it a mental burnout? Because, we've talked so much about the mental well-being of business owners and stuff like this. I think you need to give yourself a bit of a mental break. Take some time, sit down, look at things from a factual, pragmatic basis, and make some decisions. And don't forget, like I was saying a little bit earlier for Leslie, it's okay to give yourself permission to not do particular things at particular times. go and talk to more and more people. Don't sit on the lonely planet yourself, because there are others who are also in the same position, who are perhaps doing things which work for you as well. So that's my, the quick fire, most kind of definitive answer I can give you right now about managing burnout. And stop thinking about the struggles and start to be more practical and pragmatic with the information that you have in front of you. Saeed on Twitter: do you consider investments in cryptocurrency as a way to diversify your investment portfolio? And if so, what are your financial strategies? Saeed, I'm not going to go into any financial strategies here. If you want to catch up on that, DM me on Twitter, or get in touch with the guys basically at QuickBooks, and you can come through to me and we can have a conversation about that later on. But it is by and large a diversification of your investment portfolio. I currently, and this doesn't mean that everyone has to do it, but I have stocks, I have ETFs, and I also have a cryptocurrency portfolio as well. So it's definitely something that will allow you to diversify your portfolio. But remember, it's a very high risk strategy at the moment, higher risk than even stocks, FX, and things like this, basically, because it's very volatile. You can have a situation where a coin surges to an extreme level and then dips down very, very low and then goes back up again. So it's a very erratic patterns at this moment in time. Emilio on Instagram: I feel like there's a lot of risk with crypto because a lot of it is untracked and outside of legal frameworks. How should businesses, leaders mitigate against these risks? Great question, Emilio. I think what is important for you and your business to do is to confer with legals, with regulatory, go and make some references to what HMRC, if you're a UK-based entrepreneur in business, go and see what HMRC, their stance is, speak to your accountant. These are all areas which will allow you to understand how to put a risk mitigation strategy together. Okay, Elisa on Twitter DM: if cryptocurrencies did become predominant, how do you think it would change how we do business, and what can we do to be prepared for that shift now? It's a good question. I think two things that you've got to do at this moment is observe the market, observe the trends. There's more and more news coming out about blockchain technology, not cryptocurrencies, blockchain. Stop reading the top hype about, Bitcoin surging and, it's going to be worth $100,000 a coin or anything like this. Look deeper beyond this. Look at what's going on in the payments industry, the fintech world. There are countries and parts of the world who are now going to start accepting digital payments or digital currencies for the exchange of utilities. Consider this: you've got people like Bulb, for example, who are, who've got excessive 1.4 million customers, who are not going to be supported by the government on a bailout scheme because of what's going on with the energy crisis at this moment in time. If the predominant currency and payment system was tokenized for them, they would have been protected right now, because they would have been able to offset their debts against the value of their coin. So this is all about democratizing blockchain. This is what's coming. So it's important that you read into this, you understand what blockchain technology is doing to move us to our next area. You see, the thing is, with things like blockchain, you can actually almost eradicate poverty. You can create equal access to health. But this is all future trend. This is where the world is moving towards. It will never ever be 100% digital. There's always going to be some form of cash currency for decades to come. But what you'll see is we've gone around the evolutions of, actually, back in the day, before you actually had a pound, a dollar, or a euro, there were tokens which had a level of value which people used to use, traders used to use in markets to actually be able to exchange goods and services. Hank on Instagram DM: I'll take this last one and then I'm going to wrap up with the poll. We hear a lot about Bitcoin primarily, but what other crypto are there that we should be aware of? Hank, there are many levels. I think the core that you're looking at is Bitcoin and Ethereum. Others from there are actually Tether, but The rest of them are what we call altcoins. Altcoins are alternative coins, and this is where you've got your Dogecoin, your Shibus, your Polys, all of these different coins. There are an abundance of different platforms that Binance, Crypto.com, all of these that actually offer you the opportunity to trade. Again, my only advice to you is there's each coin that's on the market has a white paper attached. Read the white paper first, because each of the coins actually are applying some level of technology or coming into some form of space. For example, the travel industry is now looking to be protected with a new coin that will allow for digital assets to protect the finance that happens with travel and hospitality, just in case we have another version of COVID erupt itself. Right, guys, great questions. I really, really appreciate it. If you've got anything more, come through to the team at QuickBooks, go through the SMB Facebook group, or DM me Twitter at Ketan_Makwana. So we had this poll going on. We asked you, how do you feel about digital assets coming into business? 50% of you said you're excited. 50% of you said unsure. The rest of you weren't really afraid or you don't care. It's the excitement part of it is really, really good, because it's good that you're allowing things to come in. With the unsure part, I'm not sitting on any camp with it being pro or con. I think it's important that you have a responsibility to educate yourself to what it is, how it works, and where it will go. Naturally, everything has an element of risk and uncertainty built into it, but it's down to you as an individual to educate yourself up. So get out there, get into conversations, ask questions, and always seek expert advice as you go along. Well, that's it. I need to get off. It's already gone past 9 o'clock. I really appreciate the questions that have come in. It's such a deep topic. I could go on for forever and ever. So I'll probably come back again in a short time space to talk more about cryptos and digital assets. So thank you for tuning in. And if you've got any more questions, feel free to Twitter me at Ketan_Makwana. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Aaron Patrick, accountant and QuickBooks Pro advisor. I wonder how I can become a QuickBooks Pro advisor. Tune in to get advice on accounting and the latest features and tools that will make your bookkeeping easier. Come on, remember, we're talking about digital assets here. It's your chance to talk to Aaron about more about these kind of digital assets like QuickBooks that will help you manage your finances. Tune in and get that advice. But a reminder that if you need any more advice on any of these things that we've talked about, or the subjects that the experts bring on, the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook is available. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. Look, I've really enjoyed being back. It's great to have all your questions. Great energy for first thing in the morning. So have a great day, and I'll catch up with you guys again soon.